Hi everybody, welcome back to the kitchen. We're still in quarantine, still going crazy, but we're here cooking together. So this is episode 2 of what may be something new. We'll see. Again, it may be that we're just on a train wreck together. But today I decided it's raining outside, it's kind of muggy and nasty, so let's do some comfort food. So today we're doing shrimp and grits. So I've already got my water boiling. This is actually 1 cup of water and 1 cup of chicken broth. I use the unsalted chicken broth because I'm going to add salt to it. So it is boiling already, so I'm going to go ahead and add my grits. These are McEwen and Sons stone ground grits, but you can use just regular Quaker grits. I'm going to stir those so they don't get clumpy and let those cook. While that is happening, I'm going to, and I've got those on fairly low, just to where they're simmering. In this little pan, I'm going to, because I can't just do plain grits, so we're going to take some butter and put in there. Doesn't stick. And let that melt a little bit. And then we're going to add some corn, bell peppers, onions, and garlic into this pan right here. In this pan, we're going to get started with the shrimp part of the shrimp and grits. So we're going to heat this pan up a little bit, and then I'm going to put some butter in there, and then I'm going to throw in some bell pepper, onions, garlic, and andouille sausage. Andouille sausage is a Cajun sausage. It just has a lot of really good flavor. It's not super spicy, so if you're afraid of heat, don't worry, we're not going to make a super hot dish, but it has a lot of flavor. Butter's melting in this little pan, and as soon as that does, then we will add the corn and stuff to it. I'm going to add that to my grits. It just makes a heartier bowl of grits, makes it a little more savory. So this is not breakfast grits, this is like brunch or dinner, you know, really good grits. And we've got a secret ingredient to make your grits better than they've ever been before. With grits, you do have to stir them a lot, so we'll be going back and forth, doing a lot of stirring with our grits. Good thing about grits is they're super forgiving. If you need to add a little more water or a little more broth to them, if they're a little too thick, if they're too thin, just add a little more grits, and know if they can ride up. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and add my corn, bell peppers, onions, and garlic to this right here. And I'm just going to really just let that cook together and simmer. My pan's getting a little warm over here, so I'm going to add the butter. And again, I love cooking in a cast iron skillet just because everything tastes better. And again, in this skillet, I'm adding bell pepper, onions, and garlic. I'm here with my onions. And I'm adding my sausage in there as well. The thing about Cajun food and really all Southern food is you're adding layers, you're building layers of flavor into everything. So, you know, for these purposes, we're cooking a little faster, but The low and slow is always a good method to get just the most flavor out of everything that you're cooking. And these grits are you can do white grits if you prefer white grits. These are actually yellow corn grits, so they will be more yellow than your traditional grits that you get just on the aisle at Walmart. And to the corn, bell peppers, and onions, I'm also going to add my favorite ingredient that goes on everything. I put Tony's. Really, instead of using salt, I put Tony's in everything. It's a great flavor combination if you like bold flavors. And again, I'm just sprinkling that on. And with both of these, I really want the bell peppers and onions to be soft. I don't want to crunch on them. If I'm cooking vegetables for vegetables' sake, then I'm either steaming them lightly or just sauteing them very lightly, and I want a really good crunch on them. But to be in a sauce, I want to cook them down and really just get as much flavor out of them as I can. And as you can see, the grits are really smooth and creamy. No lumps because we're stirring them a lot. And I'll cut that down to low. One of the big differences between Cajun and Creole food is Creole uses a lot of tomatoes, tomato based. So if you have gumbo that has tomatoes in it, that's going to be a more Creole recipe. If you have gumbo that doesn't have tomatoes in it, or if you have a dish that doesn't have tomatoes, then that's more from the Cajun side. We are going to put tomatoes in this just because it makes it prettier, but you can do it with or without tomatoes. So the grits, we're going to taste those and see how they're coming along. They're good. They still need a little more time. So we're going to continue to let them cook. I'm going to add a little bit more broth. I don't want them to get too thin because I'm still going to add one more liquid, but with grits that you get, prepackaged from the grocery store, the measurements are probably more exact. When you get grits that have come from a local farm or something, and they have directions on how to cook them, you may need to add more liquid to them. They may be drier than other times, things like that. So I am going to cut the corn off and just let it sit for a minute. This is looking really good. My sausage, peppers, onions, and garlic. Add my corn, bell peppers, onions, and garlic to the grits. Then I'm going to add some heavy cream. I've not put any butter in these grits yet. Heavy cream's going to lighten them up. It's going to make them very fluffy. Make them a whole lot more creamy looking. That looks amazing. Alright, this is looking really good. The next thing I'm going to do, because I want this sauce to be a little on the, I don't want it to be super runny. So we're going to make kind of like a roux, but we're going to do it in the same pan with everything in there. So basically we're just taking a little bit of flour. And then that fat from the butter, and from the sausage. Just mixing that in. I have cut this down significantly, kind of a medium-low now. And the next thing I'm going to do is add my tomatoes. Just stir those in real quick. All right, and so the old recipe that I have actually calls for cooking wine, white cooking wine, but if you don't have that with you, just chicken broth. Chicken broth works just as good in my opinion. And I really want to scrape the bottom of the pan, get all of that flavor. And we're going to let that continue to cook down. I'm going to taste my grits again. See how they're coming along. Mainly because I'm hungry. Grits are perfect. Could use a little bit of salt, so I'm going to add just a little salt to them. Again, I didn't add any salt before. I used unsalted chicken broth. I use unsalted butter in cooking so that I can add more salt. So it's a whole lot easier to add salt than it is to take it out. And grits generally do require a lot of salt. So I have peeled and deveined my shrimp already. I have tossed these in a little bit of Tony's, some Old Bay, and some Louisiana hot sauce. So they're just sitting in all that yummy goodness that we're going to throw in here in just a minute. This looks really good. It's thickening up very well, so I'm actually going to get just a little more chicken broth to add to that. I need enough liquid in the sauce that when I add the shrimp, it really, covers the shrimp fairly well, so that it's cooking evenly. Because the shrimp will be the very last thing that you put in the sauce, and you don't want to overcook them. If you've ever had rubbery shrimp, then you know that you don't want overcooked shrimp. That's getting there. I am going to add a little bit of Tony's. Okay, I'm going to add a lot of Tony's. Some Old Bay seasoning. Louisiana hot sauce. I love, out of all the hot sauce, Louisiana is my favorite. It's not super hot. It has a lot of good flavor without too much heat. And it is a little salty, so keep that in mind. It's a little saltier than Tabasco. And then I'm also going to add a couple of bay leaves as well to this. Turn that up just a little bit. Y'all, the grits look absolutely fantastic. That's about the perfect consistency that I want. They're thick but not too thick, really creamy. Just really, really good. Grits hold heat really well, so you can take them off the heat and just let them rest while you're finishing up. I also want to, just because I love dipping bread in the sauce, so you're going to have some extra sauce as you put the shrimp and grits on the plate. So I've just taken French bread, a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to stick those in the oven and just let them toast for a little bit while I finish the sauce up. Next thing I'm going to add to my sauce is steak sauce. It sounds crazy. This is actually A1, and it is about 6 or 7 ounces of A1 steak sauce. It's going to give it a really bold color. It's a little quiet in here today. Y'all, that's good. Like really good. So let that come back up to a simmer. We're really close to adding in our shrimp. Just gonna add a little more chicken broth. At this point, if your grits get a little thick, add some heavy cream instead of chicken broth if they're off of the heat already. That way it stays creamy, it doesn't separate like it would if you just put chicken broth. Now this has started simmering. I'm going to go ahead and add my shrimp to this. And they're going to cook in all of this yummy sauce. So I live in Hoover, and there is a fantastic seafood market here on 150, just north of 459. The Hoover Seafood Market, right there in the shopping center with Jubilee Joe's. They are actually from the Bayou. Grew up with some of the family members of the people who own it, and it's a great place to get fresh seafood from the Bayou. As soon as the shrimp are finished cooking, they'll be good and pink, and that's when you know that they're done cooking. And then we're going to add just a little bit of heavy cream to this sauce. Give it a little bit, just another dimension of flavor. Shrimp's almost done. I'm going to add just a little bit of heavy cream to the sauce. So heavy cream makes everything taste better. All right, y'all, this is almost done. I'm going to take it off the heat and get my bread out of the oven, and we're going to plate it up and eat some shrimp and grits. And y'all, that right there is my version of shrimp and grits. So try it at home, see if you like it. Let me know what you think, and I'll jot the recipe down, get that to you as well. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Enjoy the rain, enjoy being inside with some really good comfort food, and I'll see you soon.